We read in the 13th chapter of Luke. The Pharisees came to Jesus and said, Leave Jerusalem, go somewhere else. Herod wants to kill you. Jesus said, Go tell that fox. I will drive out demons and heal people today and tomorrow, and on the third day I will reach my goal. In any case, I must keep going today and tomorrow and the next day, for surely no prophet can die outside of Jerusalem. Yeah, Jerusalem, who will kill the prophets and stone those sent to you. How often have I longed to gather your children together as a hen gathers her chicks under her wings, but you were not willing. Look at your house. It is left to you desolate. I tell you, you will not see me again until you say, Blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. The word from the Lord in the house of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
I guess since it's St. Patrick's Day, we have to pay honor to the Irish, who have a reputation for imbibing. And little Paddy Murphy was going down the street when he had a bit of an accident, and he fell and hurt himself along the side of the road. And his friends and neighbors came out to see him, and they began to argue. One of them said, lift his head, and the other one said, lift his feet. And Mrs. McGillicuddy said, give him a drink of whiskey. They said, let's cover him up and keep him warm. And they said, no, that'll cause a fever. Don't cover him up. And Mrs. McGillicuddy said, give him a drink of whiskey. He said, let's take him to the hospital. No, leave him here for the ambulance to come. And Mrs. McGillicuddy said, give him a drink of whiskey. At which point Paddy Murphy raised up and said, with a lot of you listen to Mrs. McGillicuddy. That has nothing to do with the sermon. That's okay. It's St. Patrick's Day. What the heck? St. Patty's Day, when I was in Wisconsin at Merrimack United Methodist Church, the lady who did our bulletin loved St. Patrick's Day, and she did the church in green. It was near St. Patrick's Day. The bulletin was in green, and the decorations were in green. And I had to remind her once that the Methodists don't celebrate St. Patrick's Day, and her response was, they ought to. So many of the things that we celebrate in the church are offsprings or offshoots of something else. Easter comes on gotta get this right now, the first Sunday following the first full moon following the spring equinox. That makes it clear why Easter sometimes is early in March and sometimes late in April. It's the 20th of April this year. That's one day short of being the absolute latest it can possibly be. And the reason is that the Jews patterned Passover. It may not have been exactly the day that the angel of death passed over all of the homes in Egypt that were marked with blood. It may well have been the fact that the pagans of the time celebrated when they noticed that the days were getting longer. And so they had a celebration of rebirth because the days were being reborn and becoming longer. And so they had a party. And that just happened to absolutely coincide with the Passover of the Jewish tradition, which just happens to coincide with our Easter season. And we don't know for sure, since they didn't have our calendar and we can't go back and trace it, we can't be sure exactly which came first. But probably the pagan celebration of longer days and the winter's dead and the summer has come to life. That's the kind of thing that we base our religious celebrations on sometimes. Christmas. We have no idea what day Christ was born, but we celebrate because, again, the pagans had a celebration right after the shortest night, because the 21st of December, the shortest day of the year, they celebrated that things would change. And so they had a party, and so we have a party. Close enough for me. I'm willing to celebrate on the 25th. I hope you are too. If you find another day you like better, let me know. I'll celebrate any time. I'm good. So the things that we really celebrate aren't always exactly what we see them as, and not always in the words that we see them as. In the original language of the Sermon on the Mount, where it says blessed are, where it says now says blessed are the meek, there was a Hebrew word, a Hebrew word that meant tamed. And it was when the Bible was translated into English in the mid 1600s, meek meant it was referred to the Shetland ponies that worked in the coal mines, that pulled the carts of coal to the surface. And a pony was considered to be meek or meeked when it could hear the voice of its master, only his master, and respond to the master's commands. Because they're down in the mine where it's dark and there's a lot of ponies and there's a lot of guys controlling them, so they had to listen to their master's voice and obey. So it isn't, the blessed are the meek doesn't mean blessed are those who are shy and won't fight back or anything like that. It has simply to do, in the original language, with someone who has been taught to hear his master's voice and to respond. So I want to be meek. I want that to be me. When Jesus said to the people, you tell that sly fox that I'm going to do what I have to do. Being a fox in those days was a real insult, because they were a sneaky, sly animal, not to be trusted at all. So if you called somebody a fox, that was quite an insult. And for Jesus to call somebody a name like that really was an unusual kind of a thing. But he said, you tell that sly fox, I'm going to do what I have to do. And I'm going to do it today and tomorrow, and on the third day, I will have completed my task. Today, tomorrow, and the third day. And that third day he was referring to was not the day after tomorrow. It was the third day as he was in the tomb. For that's the day that he completed his tasks. So Christ talked to his disciples and still speaks to us in parables and almost riddles. So when he said, worry about your task today, do your work tomorrow, and let the third day take care of itself. There's a bar in Mohave Valley. You've all gone by it, I'm sure, with a sign on the wall, free drinks tomorrow. They got it figured out, haven't they? You keep going there hoping tomorrow has arrived, and it never does. So when we look at the future, we're trying to guess how long it's going to be. And what Christ is telling you, don't worry about the future. You do the job you have to do today and tomorrow, and let the third day take care of itself. And you realize that if you take care of your work today and tomorrow, the third day never arrives until the last day. Because tomorrow becomes today. You never get to the third day until the task is finished, until you've served your time here and you're no longer mortal. That's what he was talking about. Don't worry about the future. Do what he asks you to do today. Be ready to do what he asks you to do tomorrow, because tomorrow will be repeated and repeated and repeated. He spoke to us in riddles that we still try to understand. Some we do, some we don't. But to try to pin him down and say, okay, he was going to do everything in the next 3 days. No, he was going to work today and tomorrow, and the third day would take care of itself. Do what we do here. Take care of the tasks that he has for us here. He also said, you won't see me again until someone says, blessed is he who comes in the name of the Lord. Now, somebody, somewhere in your life, may not have walked up to you and said, blessed are you in the name of the Lord, but somewhere, somehow, someone has blessed you in the name of the Lord. And that's when you began to see Christ, not as a figment out there, not as a spook or a ghost or anything else, but a real living force in your life. And I don't know who it was. I'm sure it was probably done before you came here. But whoever did it pointed out that you have a task to do. You have a job to do, and you do it today, tomorrow, and don't worry about the third day. Because when that third day comes and your task is over, then you're gone. I don't mean to be a downer today. Don't want to be. Look at the celebrations we have for no good reason other than somebody had a party and we hooked onto it. Somebody had a party that was in honor of something and we made it in honor of God. And that's the way it ought to be. There ought to be nothing in our lives that isn't in honor of God. Oh, see, I get paid for doing this kind of stuff, so I can pretend that I do everything I do in the name of God. Oh, I wish I did. Wish I did. Doesn't happen. Sometimes I do it just for me. But I've got work to do today and tomorrow because that third day is coming. That I won't be able to work, that I won't be able to do, that I won't be able to serve. So I ask him to give me the strength and the vision. Oh, I wish he would give me more vision. I wish I could see clearly. I don't want any teachers to be offended. What he wants me to do. What he expects of me. And yet all I can do is do the task that I see in front of me today and tomorrow. For the third day is or the third day may be tomorrow. We have no control. We have no way to understand or to vision or to see. But he calls us this day to do, not just to be. He said, you tell that fox, you tell that enemy to your life, the one who wants to tempt you with houses and riches and whatever, you tell that fox that I will do my work. You tell whatever it is that bugs you, you tell whatever it is that tempts you, I will do my work and I will do my work today and tomorrow, and the third day will take care of itself. Ultimately, he got to the point where he did his work on this day, tomorrow, and the third day he rose. That you and I might have a life, not just today, tomorrow, but all the way through the third day, forever and eternity. Amen? Okay. May the most that you wish for be the least that you get. May the best that you have be the worst that you ever know. Let the peace of him who loves you enough to die for you surround you, that you might do his bidding this day, tomorrow, all days. Go in peace. Amen.